All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Neptune Sunday. It's your boy V Moss here, continuing R&B season with one of the homies,
One of the homies.
Nicole McGloster,
Woo!
EMV's finest.
Yes.
I'm
And
not gonna say what else you're from. I'm not gonna say that. We can get into that later.
we can get into that later. Yeah, we can.
Nick, welcome to the show. So happy to have you.
I am like over the moon to be here. This is a long time coming because we've been talking about this since I think even before you started.
Hey, I really appreciated about this process is just being tapped in with my network, with my community, my tribe of people, and just figuring out how it makes sense and how we can help each other. And this is a huge part of it. You helped give my man Corey Towns that nudge, and it came into fruition. So that was
I'm
beautiful.
glad. His conversation was so good up here. So I'm glad y'all were able to connect. And honestly, that's all I want to be up here for so I can nerd out about music. So that's what I'm just happy to be here. Okay.
Exactly. So, Nick, obviously you are another multi-hyphenate person, and I think that that's really something that's dope about our generation. Is a lot of us are multi-hyphenates, but
Yeah.
talk to people about, what you got going on, who you are, and what you've been doing, and how you kind of got into this space.
Okay. Whew. It all started when I was a kid. No, I won't go that far back, but I've been writing since I was young. And I really got into creative writing in high school. Like we had a newsletter, and I was like, oh, let me try my hand at some poetry, some short stories, because I had already been doing it, but I never did it in like a published way. And then once that kind of took off and I got in the rhythm of that, I went to the illustrious Norfolk State University, and I was a writer, and then I was the entertainment editor for the Spartan Echo. So that just kind of got me back into the groove. It was always something that was a side thing for me, whether it was writing about music, blogging about music, or like I said, the creative writing piece. I was always doing it, but I went to school to be an OBGYN. And for whatever reason, that nagging writing part of me was like, nah, you need to be doing this. And so after college, I wrote a cold email to Vibe to be an intern because Clover Hope, who's incredible, she put out a tweet. I sent a cold email like fall of 2010, got the internship, moved to New York, and the rest is history. I like bounced around from editor of Vibe, Vixen to Billboard, Karen Civil, Teen Vogue, Essence. Like I've been around the block. I won't age myself, but then I ended up here. So right now, currently, I am a journalist, a culture writer, and a marketing copywriter. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but I love it. I love it all.
So I don't know if we ever had this conversation. Like I literally, it's funny how potentially paths could have crossed, right? Like I
Mhm.
actually had an opportunity to do an internship at Vibe summer 2007, maybe.
Oh
And
snap! Why'd you pass it up?
oh no. Oh no, I
Oh,
did not
okay.
pass it up. Damn, now it's gonna fuel the beef. But basically, my dean of the School of Business did not sign off on paperwork for unpaid internships.
Bogus.
So
That's bogus.
so instead of spending the summer in New York at Vibe helping to
Damn.
learn about marketing and media, I was at Richmond. I was not at Richmond. I was in back home in Richmond.
Yeah, that sucks so bad. We probably would have, because I imagine that you would have done the internship. You probably would have stayed in New York. We would have crossed paths somehow. Because I went, yeah, because I was up there. My first, yeah, I moved up there September 12th, 2010. I
Gotcha.
thought it was bad luck to go September 11th. So I was like, September 12th, I'll start.
Yeah, that's actually probably smart.
Yeah, I was like, huh. But dang, we would have. And I mean, because, we both know Justin. I just something would have crossed eventually. All the Hampton people, all the Norfolk State people.
For sure. Oh, of course, we can't forget our boy. Shout out to Rockstar Wood.
Shout out to Linwood Johnson, who's the real reason why we know each other, I
A
think.
hundred percent. 100%.
Yeah, who is a wild, wild boy. He'll love this shout out when he hears it. He'll love it.
Rockstar Wood. That's my guy. I think we've talked about Wood on this show before because, just being in Richmond and being in different spaces together, like
Wild.
him throwing parties in South Side, ratchet people everywhere, like fights and anyway.
I feel like if I had known him back then, it would have been a great time. Because
Uh,
they say he was throwing the craziest parties in Richmond.
lit.
Really? I'm jealous I missed it.
Lit. The people connector. Shout out to Rockstar Wood, man.
Yeah, shout out to him. Lenny, love you.
So let's get into this R&B conversation.
Okay, I'm excited.
Talk a little bit about, kind of the vibe of this season to really kind of tap into a different space in the Neptunes universe and the music and history of Pharrell and Chad. But, talk about what R&B music means to you specifically.
You know, as much as my rap homies are gonna hate this, but R&B touches a very specific like part of the soul. I feel like the sound it's a place that rap can't really reach because you need the singing, you need the melody. And don't get me wrong, rap can sound desperate and begging and loving, but the R&B is so different. And I feel like every time I hear it, anybody from like Beyonce when she's in her R&B bag to Aaron Ray when he's going crazy. Like when you hear music come together in like that traditional kind of way, it just reaches a certain place of your emotions that I feel like other genres can't tap into fully. I know that because it's like Black music, it's very innate to us too. So something about it just hits the core. So R&B to me means everything. It's very nostalgic for me too. I grew up in a household where we listened to R&B crazy, like Faith, Mary. You know what I mean? So it's in my DNA. Like R&B is in my DNA for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like very much the same way. Like I was actually listening to it, funny enough. 2 years ago, I did an episode with my mom.
Oh,
And
nice.
like that's where my music journey really starts. Like growing up in the house with her, like Whitney, Luther, Earth, Wind and
Going
Fire.
crazy. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
so that set the tone for me and also set the tone for me to feel comfortable listening to whatever, right? Like I ended up, having the phase of going with my guy. I went to school, not went to school with white kids, but like I had some really close, one of my best friends in the world is a one of my white friends from Richmond whose parents are Scottish. But like we went through our Red Hot Chili Pepper phase, right? Like in Rage Against the Machine and
For
but we
sure.
also hit that
Limp Bizkit.
all
Mm-hmm.
that, right? So
Evanescence. Yeah.
but at the same time, like you said, the R&B roots that we all grew up in the house, I think for me, I always tell that story about how Pharrell and Chad specifically created this window for me to feel comfortable doing whatever. So I can listen to R&B at a time when I'm growing up in the 90s where everyone's listening to Biggie and Tupac and those guys. But I'm also listening to that, but I'm also listening to this Luther too. And I'm cool with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
R&B definitely said like you said is really rooted in us. It's really part of our history and culture and has so much, it means so much to so many people, especially our age, growing up listening to that stuff in the crib.
Absolutely. And you get a different feeling from it. Like you were saying, everybody else was listening to maybe something harder. But then you listen to Luther, it just gives you a softer kind of feel. Like you can greet the day in a different way. You know what I mean? You just move around in a different vibe. So I just love that energy. Like we talked about the nostalgia too, but there's just a different feel you get when you're listening to something like traditional R&B. And I should stop harping on traditional and I'll get to that later. But yeah, just R&B in general, it just gives you a different feeling.
Yeah, for sure. Like I don't, well, it's not really a secret because it's not a secret because I've said it on a podcast episode. I haven't really posted about it on social media, but I actually got married in February and like there's a really cool video that my mom took. We had a small ceremony and then we went to my mom's house afterwards and had a bunch of family over, but I was lit. And
Yeah.
I was like three Casamigos in, and there's a video of me and my mom recording. My mom is recording
Yeah.
and my wife in the kitchen dancing to Luther.
Aww.
Never too much like, and my mom just talked so much the next day about how she had never seen me act like that and never seen me be that happy and just in my own space and just she would, and I mean, part of it had to do with the Casamigos, but also it was like a really special day. So like,
What was the percentage of the Casamigos?
I mean, it was definitely, I would say it was 70-30,
Okay,
it's a lovely day and 30% Casamigos, you know what I mean? Like,
not too
Yeah,
So
like
that's not bad at all. But the
yeah,
R&B, it did probably like it lets you like kind of like being vulnerable, be yourself, be free.
yes,
R&B just taps into that. Yeah.
yes. And that's the other part about it too, is like now that we're older,
Hmm.
appreciating more that connection that we have with our parents through that music, right? Like,
Absolutely.
because I'm on the aux cord after I got married. It's mostly family there, few of my boys there. So I'm not running Meek Mill sets. Like, I'm not running, you know what I mean? So, like,
There's no way.
you know what I mean? I think I did eventually end up playing Dreams and Nightmares, and that was definitely the reverse 70-30 Casamigos.
Absolutely. And
But
that's probably your limit. Like you can do a dreams and nightmares for the
right,
aunties,
right.
kind of. Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
but that's really cool about, like you said, again, how much the music in general, but specifically R&B music, keeps us connected and is always
Absolutely.
gonna makes us feel like it's got that love around it, being around your people and loving on your people.
Absolutely. Even when it's I was just telling somebody this, and even when it's a heartbreak song, it still feels pretty. It still feels real, like Pretty Wings by Maxwell. Like people love that song. They're like, oh, I want to play it at my wedding. Like, it's a heartbreak song, right? But just that energy
Yep.
feels really nice. So
Yep. So talk a little bit about what you think about the current state of R&B.
oh, love, love, love it. I hate when people say R&B is dead. It infuriates me because I feel like, especially if you're a music head and you say R&B is dead, then you're not doing your job. Like you're not looking hard enough, Like I mentioned before, Aaron Ray, who he's not new to me, but I know he still hasn't like hit mainstream. There's Lucky Day, Victoria Monet, Money Long. I'm forgetting. There's a ton of people, right? I can't name them all, but R&B is in such a healthy place. Who am I thinking of? The platform Yams, the playlist,
Yeah.
created by Dante. He's building a community on Instagram that's all about like the discovery of R&B music, and it's amazing how you can see that there's such this almost like this shapelessness of R&B now because it's not just the traditional feel that you would get from like a 112. Now we're moving into SZA. She's R&B, but she plays around with different genres. You can consider Party Next Door that. You can add some pop elements and some dance, and now you've got Tyla. So I think R&B is in such a healthy space, and I think we need to get to a place where, I mean, with all due respect to traditional R&B, we need to get to a place where we're able to really define what R&B is now. But overall, I think it's in a great place. It's so healthy.
Yeah. And that's something that me and Vogue talked about on our first episode of this R&B tribute season, is just like has a lot to do with the way that we consume music now in the digital era, the streaming era. Like when we talk about traditional R&B, there were so many the big figures. So you felt like, people can say it's dead because there's not those big figures like a Whitney, like a Luther anymore. But there's a lot of people doing a lot of good music. Like the music is still as good and there's more people doing it. It's just like you could feel like it's not as strong because there's not the big stars championing it. But at the same time, the music is still there.
The music is definitely there. And you got to think about big stars. Usher just did his very big one at the Super Bowl, and he's considered R&B. And I know once they get to a certain level, we're like, oh, they're pop,
Yeah.
but he's ours. The R&B lovers, he is ours. So I totally feel what you say. And no, we don't necessarily have like the new guard, but I definitely think they're coming. I definitely think they're on their way.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that that's like it's dope to see R&B get this stage. Like everyone's got like there's so many different people doing R&B parties and stuff. Shout out to Boss Bags and them. And
Yes, Leon. Yes. Have you
um
been? Sorry, this is like an interlude, but have you been to
yeah,
one?
so me and Kia went to the last one at the Scope, maybe I guess that was early March or late February. It was middle of February. It was right after
That
right
wasn't MIAC, was it? MIAC weekend? No,
no, it
right
was
before it.
right after Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay, okay. I always hear they're good. When Leon hears this, he's gonna be mad because I still haven't gone to one, but I'm gonna go. I am. I'm going to one.
Hey, listen, they shout out to them, man. Like
Yeah,
they're doing their thing. But even like there was R&B parties that I went to in DC, maybe R&B only or something like that. Like
be only. Yeah.
yeah, so the movement's been going and it's strong, and I think that part of the reason why it's sustained is because of what we just talked about. It could probably started as that nostalgic. We're gonna play the 80s, 90s hits that you love from when you grew up. But then at the same time, now we're transitioning to we can play those and we can play this new stuff too, and it's still gonna ring off and you feel like it belongs in the same venue, the same experience. So I agree with you. Like I think R&B is in a really cool spot right now where it's a lot of dope music, a lot of music that makes you feel like you still get that feeling from back in the day, but it's also got this new twist on it that you can appreciate as well.
Yeah. And my only beef about the different sounds of R&B is the way that they're awarded. And I'll be looking at that, when it comes up to the Grammy stuff, they're like, oh, traditional R&B or all R&B. It's kind of like, because then you'll put Beyonce in a traditional R&B, like, wait a minute, is she, you know what I mean? Is she? Of course, I want Beyonce to win all the awards, so Beehive, don't kill me. But does that best, let's say a Lucky Day, who is a little bit more traditional, does that, so that's my only beef with all the different sounds. But other than that, R&B is great.
So for those of you who pay attention, it shouldn't be unfamiliar that Chad and Pharrell like owe a lot to R&B in terms of how their career got started. Obviously, doing all the stuff with Teddy Riley and Blackstreet, helped catapult it and, working with Tammy Lucas and that kind of stuff. So the roots of the Neptunes, the roots of Pharrell's career and Chad's career is really rooted in R&B. So talk about, your favorite or a couple of your favorite Neptunes, Pharrell, Chad, R&B songs.
This question is like a weapon. Okay. Do you know I was racking my brain for hours, like my favorite, like my absolute favorite? How can I pick just one? I mean, obviously, I Still Love You by 702. Obviously, right? Okay, so maybe people will argue me down about this, but Frontin' to me is an R&B song, and maybe that's just because it's mine, because I own it, it belongs to me. But Frontin', it gives me that R&B feel, so that's one of my favorites. Sweet Life, Frank Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a Beyonce one because I know there's a favorite up there. Sheesh. Yeah, I'll just say those three for now. I'm pretty sure after this, I'll be like, dang, I should have said. But I Still Love You, 702 for sure. Frontin' for sure. Like, in Sweet Life. Because I feel like those are the ones that's like every time they come on, it's just like, I gotta listen. And I'm probably gonna play it on repeat. You know what I'm saying? Or if I'm at a party, it's like it's ringing off. So those are pretty high up there.
You gotta pick one of the Beyonce ones. Cause I think there's an argument that in the R&B space, which we'll get into that in a second, but
yeah,
you gotta pick one. Cause there's some in the
some
R&B.
bangers, some absolute bangers. But you know what? And I'm sorry if I'm jumping the gun here because I know this might be a question for later, but Green Light by Beyonce is a smoker.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't talk about that enough. And that's like kind of, I guess that falls into like the underrated vibe. But to me, that one is a hardcore, like, do you hear her? Like, do you hear what Pharrell was doing? So I love that Beyonce record. And I think it's a little, I don't think that people even recognize that it's them.
Yeah. So then go ahead, give your underrated picks then.
Okay. First, a question before I say it. Underrated to me or underrated to everybody or to majority of people?
I'd say, something that you feel is like it's underrated to the masses, like it might have been missed or slept on, that you think is just amazing.
Gosh, I'm about to say two that probably weren't slept on. I still feel like they deserved more. Reduce that, I think. I Decided by Solange.
Okay. Yep.
I feel like, yeah, I know some of the girlies like it, but you really gotta be a solo fan to really, you know what I'm saying? And you really gotta be in that bag to know that song. So I Decided, Solange. I'm sorry, I gotta say another Frank Ocean one, Pink and White. Beyonce's on that too, so that counts. Pink and White. Insane record that people love, but it's not one that they'll readily like play or something like that. But Pink and White is fantastic and underrated. Okay, I'm cheating a little bit.
Okay.
SZA, Hit Different. And you know why? I say that because people did like Hit Different. Obviously, everybody loves Snooze more, but Hit Different, people liked it. But that was their first collaboration, if I'm not mistaken. And I feel like that was a really big deal that kind of got missed a little bit. People didn't realize that that collaboration was so major. And to her, I think she said it in an interview to like Zane Lowe or somebody. She said in an interview how big it was for her. She wanted to work with him and had like worked around him in certain areas, but like this is the first time they did a song. So yeah, Hit Different by SZA should have definitely got more fanfare, I think.
I definitely agree with that one. I think that one is very much, I think it didn't pop because it was a pandemic joint. I think that
Right.
was definitely affected by the fact that we couldn't hear that outside. Like
Mm-hmm.
in the summer, like in the summertime in DC.
And really catch a vibe. I just remember I was playing it over and over and over. And you're right. It needed the outside test.
Yes.
It needed that big time. Yeah.
And I was surprised that she didn't put it on the album so, but I guess by the time the album came out, like it had been out for so long. I get it, but I definitely think that Hit Different is one that was slept on, not because it wasn't because people didn't get it. They just didn't, like you said, they missed the opportunity to enjoy it and experience it the right way.
Yeah, because that's a record, and I would argue that it's better than Wasting Time. And I know you might have some feelings about that, but it to me is better than Wasting Time by Brent.
Okay.
It's hard. I know. I'm not
gonna have a conversation. We're not gonna have a full Aubrey conversation right now, but
okay. We'll save that later.
I'll say this. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
that Hit Different is a better song.
Okay. But
Wasting Time was a bigger record because of the fact that it's the only Drake verse on there on the Neptunes R&B, other than the Lemon remix, which nobody really pay attention to that. And it was such a big deal. And
but were you let down? Can we be honest? Like, were you let down when that song came out?
No, I felt like Drizzy did what he does. Like, and I felt like I'm not a huge Brent fan though. So like to me, it felt like Brent did what it felt like a Brent song, but like the stuff that Aubrey said on there was very quintessential Aubrey, Drake, Graham bars, passive aggressive. Like, come on. Like it was Drake.
There were pieces of the puzzle that I feel like didn't connect. So here's the thing. We all know I love Pharrell and NERD. The beat sounded a little dated for when the record came out. I think there was a lot of expectation for Aubrey on the record, and he did do his thing. But for whatever reason, I feel like the Brent plus the Neptunes plus Drake, I don't know if all those pieces connected for me perfectly. Now, will I listen to it? Of course. But something about it felt disjointed a little bit.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel like that definitely could also be another product of the pandemic, right? Because I'm almost positive that was not a in the studio together, cooking up, collaborating type environment. It was probably I remember Brent was on Other Tone, and I think that kind of set up them working together, and somehow Drake got on it. But I feel like that definitely paints a picture of us not being able to collaborate. Like I think that's part that we all know Pharrell is great at.
That real life energy.
Yeah, you see videos on YouTube all the time with people in the room with him, and like that makes a difference. Like, absolutely, it 100% makes a difference. So I think that might be what you're feeling, and I definitely agree with you. Like that, there is some of that on that song where you feel like it's not like it doesn't meet your expectations, but that doesn't mean that it's not good.
Right. I think that's fair. I think that's very fair because it is a song that I'll listen to. Every time I listen, I'm like, something didn't gel right. But I think you make a great point about them not being able to really do it all together. Could have definitely lended itself to that.
Right. So a couple other underrated joints that I like. I'll see if you even know these.
Okay.
Daily has a song with them that is fire.
Daily does? Yes. The white boy?
Yes.
Let me look it up right now. Who? What is it? What is it?
It's called Look Up.
Really? Okay, yeah, I don't know that one. That's a sleeper. Okay.
Mary J. Blige, Steal Away from the No More Drama album is fire.
Oh, yep. So I do have that one. Okay. That's a good one. That's a good pick.
Underrated joints that I like. TLC In Your Arms Tonight.
Did not know that he did that one. Are you sure? Are you cheating?
Listen, come on.
Nah, I'll give it to you. You be knowing this kind of stuff.
Those are three of my personal underrated. Tony Braxton, Hit the Freeway.
Yes. Yes. And it's crazy while I was looking on my playlist, I saw that one. That is a smoker. And even this is not a new conversation, right? We've all talked about how incredibly talented, super genius, super producer that Pharrell is, right? But when you get to these sleepers, it's when you can really identify the greatness.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you get to these little ones that some people don't even think of. It's incredible. I love him. Sorry, I was looking up that Daily song because I have to have it now.
So I've alluded to who I think it is, but who do you think is the best R&B collaborator with these guys? They got to have at least like a handful of songs together.
You alluded to it.
My vote is
Did
for the
you?
Queen. I'm voting for the Queen. The Queen is the best
Oh, that's an
collaborator.
easy one. No.
Hey,
I'm about to blow you away.
okay.
Because you know who I think it is? Khalees.
Mm,
I
mm,
know. I know.
mm.
Everybody's gonna hate me because they got drama or whatever right now, right?
It's not even about like, I mean, as we have found out over the past few weeks, like drama is drama,
It's
but
drama, no
drama
matter
is
what.
drama. Nah, man, I think that Khalees definitely is in that conversation. And it's,
Yeah.
you know, probably my favorite Khalees joints are more R&B joints, like from the Tasty album, like Protect My Heart and
Okay.
Sugar Honey Iced Tea.
Sugar honey iced tea is so good. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. See, I'm going all the way back to Kaleidoscope.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When they first like started working together. Well, I don't want to say first started working together, but
Yeah.
they put out her debut. The magic that they were cooking up. Again, another one of those situations where you've got like not traditional R&B, it's kind of like genreless. And the reason why I say this is their greatest collaborator, and it kind of hurts me to say it because I can only imagine where they would have went had they stayed close and working together. Like think about his Daft Punk era when there was like her rock elements and where she could have taken things with pop. I don't know, it just would have been insane to me.
Yeah.
Because I think where were we? We were at what Caught Out There. I think they did that one. Get Along With You. Like, look at where they were going sonically together. I just think that they would have. Gosh, it just hurts my heart. But I think that's their best collaborator. Obviously, Queen B. I mean, hello, but that's the easy grab. I like Khalees.
I mean, even after the like they kind of sort of separated, like the stuff that Khalees did when she started to step out was still cool and catchy, but like it wasn't the same. Like I'm Bossy was catchy, but it wasn't like it didn't
It wasn't the fire you needed.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's something about them working together was magical. And I don't want to say that like she just couldn't get hot after them. It's just that marriage was just perfect. And the fact that it was over was like, dang, you know?
Yeah. So who's an R&B artist anytime, past, present, future, that you think would be great on a Neptunes, Pharrell, Chad collaboration that hasn't done anything with them yet to this date?
You might have to fact check me on this one, but I want to say Stevie. Has he worked with Stevie?
So Stevie, I know Stevie did some harmonica,
Okay.
maybe a little bit of vocals on one of those songs from Snoop's Bush album.
Oh, okay. So they've worked. They haven't done a song.
Right. Like you
Like just
talking
that
about, yeah, you talking about like Stevie getting, yes.
going crazy to
Yeah.
a Pharrell beat. Yeah, like I would like that. And you know why I say that? Because I guess I go back to my favorite songs by Pharrell too. Like I Still Love You. Oh, one I forgot. Let's Take a Ride by Justin
Mm.
Timberlake.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's an insane, but you see, like the R&B that I gravitate toward mostly from Pharrell really is like slow and lush and dreamy and warm, right? Like if you think about Let's Take a Ride. So I think although people may not think automatically that classic 4 count and Stevie, I think there is something that could happen there that would be like chef's kiss,
For
like
sure.
incredible for him. Who do you think?
I think Stevie makes a lot of sense because there's definitely a lot of That's one thing about Pharrell where he kind of cosplays his inspirations a lot of times randomly in
Mhm.
songs. And like, I don't know if you listened to the Black Yacht Rock album that came out a couple weeks ago. Like,
No, and I told you I was gonna listen to it, but I haven't yet.
it is very, there are some songs where he's definitely doing this version of Stevie mixed with Steely Dan that feels like
Really?
crazy, like crazy. And it's like, it's not like it's an album for people that like that type of music slash for people who love P. Like
Yeah.
that's really like you'll appreciate it if you appreciate that type of music. But you know, the fact that he just gave it to us adds a different level of your experience with it because you don't have those expectations, right? Like when you
Right.
know something's coming and you're like in your brain, you're running through all these different scenarios. I want him to work with who this person, and I want him to have this feature, and I want him to do this, and he has to have a song about that. When it's just like, oh wow, he just gave us this 10 song album.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
Like just go for it. Like just listen and experience the music instead of like setting these expectations and feeling let down.
and I think that that's part of the reason why I enjoy it so much. And I don't necessarily look at it as a lot of music we listen to now in the streaming era, like we talked about, is where it's a couple songs that'll stick with you. But it's just like this is a product that's so cohesive that I'm putting this on when I'm doing something or I'm in preparation to listen to the whole thing all the way through because that's the mood that it puts me in.
And so even when we were talking about it very briefly, and I was saying I was going to listen to it, you set it up kind of perfectly. So like me going into it, I'm already thinking like, oh, this is some just designed LV collection on a boat, enjoying. Like that's exactly how I feel in my mind. So I know that that's an expectation still, but I kind of am going into it kind of already having a feel for it. And I love that kind of music. Even you saying it's like Stevie or like Steely Dan and kind of I can appreciate that he did that. That
Yeah.
he's put out some music like that. I wonder if it'll be a slow burn and more people will catch on to it.
Yeah. And I really appreciate it as a fan.
Mhm.
It leaves room for speculation and for conversation as me hosting this podcast about like, what the plan is. Like
Yeah.
it's Black Yacht Rock Volume 1. So there's a
More
volume
volumes to
2.
come.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
cool. They just announced that they're shooting a movie, his musical in Richmond. So like that's supposed to be like 70s, 80s P growing up, which is kind of like one of these songs has got to be incorporated in some way into that. I'm thinking maybe, he's got the Lego movie coming out soon too. So it's just like he also just said that he's gonna be involved in Despicable Me 4's soundtrack and music. It's like so
Mhm.
it's just he is
Synergistic.
doing so much stuff and then to have this music dropped on us as part of this, I don't doubt that it's all intertwined in some way that would be like that makes sense for him. That's going to
Yeah.
help us get more context of where the inspiration for this album even came from.
And everything that he does is hella cinematic, you know? So I can for sure see him incorporating this into his other like film projects. But tell me more about the Richmond. You said there's a musical film in being filmed.
They had a story come out like I guess it was the day before the album dropped. So like the first, or maybe it was the same day. I don't know. But it was
Mm,
basically an article that said they're about to start shooting a musical in Richmond about his life. And it's like supposed to have Missy and Andre 3000 in it or something like that, which
that's
is
insane.
it's crazy. It was an RVA mag, which is a legit news
Yeah.
source in Richmond. And, they quoted the IMDb, like, I don't know. So I haven't
Why
heard anything
wasn't
else
that
about
bigger
it.
news? That's
I,
insane to me. Why wasn't that bigger news?
I don't know. I
Or
don't
maybe I
know.
just I'm gonna look that up because I didn't hear about it, but like that sounds like that's gonna be incredible, especially getting Missy. You know, that's love. So getting Missy and Andre 3K,
Like, I don't even I don't even want to speculate. I just want to enjoy it. But the fact that he
yeah,
hit 3,000 to commit to doing something like that is just like,
that's what I was about to say. Where did he find Andre in his flute and able to get him back outside?
right.
Oh wow, okay, I'm looking it up. That sounds incredible. But yeah, if we can get more context around like why he dropped it, where his head was at, stuff like that, that would be great. But I'm gonna go listen to it. I am.
Yeah. For us marketing people, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the absence of a rollout is very like
Jarring.
it's jarring in
Like
2024, especially.
Yeah, like what am I supposed to do with this again? Because even Beyonce has gone back to like a
Uh,
more traditional rollout.
Super
Like
Bowl commercial is a big deal.
huge deal, huge. Okay, we got 2 singles, we got Super Bowl ad. She's outside signing autographs. Like we need something, but I do appreciate Pharrell being able to surprise drop that. Like that was on his what birthday or something, right?
Yes, it was on his birthday. Yep.
So that was like I feel like that was a decent gift for us fans that's waiting to hear where he's at right now. So
A surprise drop on his birthday, direct to consumer, not on streaming, which is like that
which is
that
that
that's
was a huge deal. I'm glad you said that. That was a huge deal. No one, I think, or maybe people wrote about it, but the magnitude of that, like, oh, we're going straight to platform. I think Kanye just did that too, if I'm not mistaken. I know he's taboo to talk about, but he just did that too. But that's huge. Not
yeah,
putting it up on Apple, they're not getting a percentage of it. He's taking all his money home. I love it.
yep. And it shows because he's someone that's a big enough artist. Like
Mm-hmm.
if he can do it, anyone can do it. And we talked about it when we did the episode about the album when it came out. Is like it's not just it's out and it's on my website. You have to like go on your phone and go to my website to listen to it. It's like, nah, you can download this. It
Mm-hmm.
it was
Mm-hmm.
mine and now it's yours.
That
Which
was so nice. I wonder if that's where we're headed. And maybe not artists, maybe more artists will do that specifically, but I mean in a larger scale, and I'm just going on a tangent for like half a second. I wonder on a larger scale if people will start building platforms in other places. I say that because, a lot of even like Yams, the playlist, the R&B community that I was just talking about, he's built that almost exclusively on social media. Maybe he'll build it out from what I've seen, and maybe he'll build it out. But I wonder if more content creators, more people that have like a product will start going more direct to consumer instead of building things on other platforms. Because to me, that just makes more sense. Because what if Instagram goes down or Twitter goes down? It's like, oh no, or Spotify goes down. Pharrell's, you can still get Pharrell's music.
yeah.
So I just wonder if that's like is going to be more trendy soon.
Yeah, but I think the tricky part that Pharrell didn't do, but will make it complicated for more people to do it is he did it in a way where he doesn't care about monetizing it. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's here, you can download it. But if
Mm-hmm.
you want to get into that direct to the consumer, but I gotta pay you $5, now we're having a different conversation. Now
Very different.
people are thinking twice about paying you $5.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I
They
already
don't trust the platform for real.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
just like I think that's a different space. So it's like so I 100% agree with you. Like people trying to figure out how to build their own thing and get people the content, their art directly, but it's even different, and even more significant when we're talking about giving people the art that you made for free.
Like that is a total different conversation. You're totally right. Yeah, I'm interested because when I saw him do that and I saw Kanye do that not too long ago, maybe it was a single or he had something on his website directly.
Yeah,
I'm just interested to see where that goes. But
yeah,
you're right, they're rich. They're in a different tax bracket. They can give away stuff for free. It's nothing to them.
right. 100%, 100%. Okay, so before we leave, we're gonna hop out of the R&B conversation real quick. Okay, quick rapid fire question.
Okay.
The best Neptunes rap frequent collaborator. Go.
Beyonce's husband.
Yes. Okay. All right. We're on the same page. Okay, cool.
Yeah, easy. Uh-huh.
So we talked about Aubrey a little bit earlier. I can't let you go without having a little conversation about the hip hop
Oh,
infinity war that's going on right now. We're
okay.
in what I guess this technically is. I mean, if you count the days since like that drop, we're probably in week 2, but we're literally in day 3 since shit really hit the fan. So
Yeah, that was Saturday. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay.
let's hear your thoughts.
What are my thoughts? Well, I mean, I'm OVO down. Okay. So I don't care what happens. I'm OVO gang to the death of me. I remember somebody tweeted, they were like, oh, we picked back in like 2011, 2012. Yeah, we did. And I had even like interviewed Kendrick back then, loved him, loved Section 80, love him. And I'm an OVO girly. So anyway, I appreciate that Drake responded when it first dropped. I knew it was real. Something about it sounded real to me. There were certain inflections, even some of the very specific ways that he was talking felt real to me. I had to check some tweets just to double check. Frazier was one of them. I think Lowe was tweeting out some things. I think Lowe thought it was AI, and I was like, nah, something about this feels real. So anyway, I'm glad that Drake responded. I think the response was sharp after, you kind of get hit with a haymaker. I guess I shouldn't say haymaker. Like that was really good. But I don't know if that's Kendrick's haymaker. I feel like he's gonna come out with something more aggressive. But now that we're 3 days out, all the jokiness, the Rick Ross, the trolling Metro, I'm losing interest as a rap fan. Like, get in the booth. I like the jokes are cool, and I know y'all like to troll each other. Rick Ross, even though I could care less about Rick Ross's diss, to be quite honest, and that's just how I feel. But yeah, y'all gotta start rapping. And I don't necessarily know if Drake is trying to rush Kendrick out, but quiet all the noise and let's just see how this thing unravels. I think the jokes is the thing that I'm just interested in. But I think Drake's response was incredible for what he's up against. Some things he was saying he probably shouldn't because they might come back to bite him. But I'm an OVO girly and I have faith. Okay, that's it. I got faith.
So my perspective, and whenever Drake comes up on any of these episodes, like I always make sure that people know, like, I'm a fan. Like I like Drake, like So Far Gone, Take Care, like
Nothing was the same.
rapping Drake, like whole playlist on my No Hook Drizzy, where it's like those songs where the timestamp songs or other songs where he just got like 40 puts on a beat that's got a sample, someone R&B sped up sample, and he's just rapping. Like those are my favorite Drake songs. But then more recently, as he's become, the CLB vibes, where it's like he's still talking about some of the stuff that I've personally outgrown, because as we just said, I'm married and
You're a married man now. It's different.
I don't have the same problems anymore. And it's just like
right.
I don't really have the capacity for that. And I appreciate it. But in terms of the beef, right? Like I definitely agree with what you were saying. We grew up like we weren't babies, but we were in elementary school for Pac and Big, where we knew enough about what was going on, where playing it out in the media on MTV News, people getting shot, baby mama drama, that was on MTV News. Now in the social media era, everyone's got a platform. There are too many other voices in the conversation. Now you're actually trying to make it funny by doing all these memes and trolling each other. Like ultimately, all of the extra media attention, that was earned media. And it was earned media because y'all two were the best rappers at the time. And we knew that y'all were gonna rap and y'all were talking shit about each other in your raps. But now we doing all this extra stuff, and like we know too much about your life now. We know about all these IG
surgeries
talking about, like, it's just too much going on. So like I'm 100% on board with you. Like my attention span for it is getting very thin. Like
very, very. And that's the only reason why I think Kendrick will come quicker than maybe he even planned, because folks are losing interest. And I know we'll all tap in whenever he drops, but all this stupidity in between is kind of corny.
Yeah, it's corny, and like the whole AI part of it too is also super weird. It's really ruining it. Like whether or not it's AI or you dropping it to test and see what people are gonna say about it, but you're gonna sprinkle out there and
Get down.
that's
It's like, why do we even, what am I saying? Like, why would we even get excited when there's a drop if we gotta sit and decipher whether it's real or not?
right.
Like, that's not, like, what are we doing, y'all? If y'all are, like you said, if they're, when it was Tupac and Biggie, we knew that they were the best. All they had was like going to the booth, doing a video, whatever. Like if they had shenanigans going on, they were trolling each other in videos. When the disc came, you know what I mean? And that's my thing. It's like, okay, Drake, if you want to jokey joke about Metro, drop do like you did with me back to back. You know what I mean? Like do something like that. But I feel like the memes and all that is dumb. I know that there's a bunch of people that he needs to address and need to address him back, but this is really about him and Kendrick.
Right.
Even though I'm still very disappointed in J. Cole, extremely, but this is about Drake and Kendrick.
Yes, it is about Drake and Kendrick. So that was like, I guess, last Sunday, I guess. I think Kia might have been watching, I don't know, but we got in the bed in time enough for me to say, let me turn this on real quick just to see what happens. I know he's close I know it's like last night, so I know it's J. Cole about to
Mhm.
close out the festival. Like, let me just turn it on to see what he says. I literally turned it on right before he started doing his little
You got
soliloquy.
lucky. Your timing was perfect.
I was like, am I watching? Is this really happening? Like, and I love Cole. I love Cole.
I used to.
Like, dog, I'm like, dog, you from a rap perspective is not a good look. But as a man, as someone who's like his age, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
See,
really
that's the thing. But do you get it? This is what I've been pushing back on. Anybody that has said that to me. Sure, as a man, but we're not talking about that.
right.
We're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think the people who wanted the beef and who are disappointed that he walked it back are upset, not because we don't know that he's mature, he's the mature one, it's just like, if you are all of these things, then why did you jump out there in the first place? Number one. Number two, if you had a phone call with him afterwards, I'm pretty sure he might not have shot back. I don't think it was, to me, I don't think that their beef was heated enough where he couldn't just like put it out there and let it be done. I think the walking back part of it is just so weird to me. Because again, I do respect him as a man, but that's not the context in which I think people are criticizing him. I don't think they're criticizing him for that part. They're criticizing him for like, you're a rapper, you have one job, you all you did was rap about how you're the GOAT and you're the best and you're the greatest. Well, somebody's gonna come knock on your door at some point and ask you to prove it. So just prove it.
Yeah.
Because J. Cole is incredible lyricist, but I don't know, it was disappointing. The part for me that was kind of funny because it was like, okay, I'm still a J. Cole fan, was Red Leather on Future and Metro's album. Because I was like, see, this is the Cole that we love. And you could have just stuck to this, but there's a little chink in his armor because of that walk back.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely feel like I said, I respect his perspective as being mature and saying like, hey, I don't want to do this. But the problem is, like you said, you shouldn't have jumped out. Like you shouldn't have put the song out. You should have had this conversation. You should have had people talk about it before. But yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it happens. And I
Unfortunate.
think people will move on because now, like I said, it's like more of a heated thing where I think they're going to start really saying some very personal, aggressive things. It's like, okay, maybe Cole, it was best for Cole to get out the way. Whatever.
Speaking of
But
that, speaking of
yeah,
that, you did mention it earlier that your boy said some things that he probably shouldn't have said. Like there was
he did.
some mention of significant others again.
Again, which is like, why would you say her name?
Listen,
Great witty bars, but why would
Nick,
you do that?
Nick, the bar was so good that I feel like this infraction is worse than the Virginia Williams infraction.
Because he was just basically saying her security will get compromised.
Right. Like,
I know. I know. So my thoughts about that are,
or even
go
worse,
ahead.
Nick, even worse,
Uh-huh.
he's either suggesting that he is comfortable with putting them in a bad position with this, like compromising security, right? Or he's also insinuating that the theme of the bodyguard is similar to what's happening in real life, which is
Like
hey,
she could be stepping out on Kendrick.
hey, yo,
I
bro.
know.
That is
that that is the one reason why I know Kendrick will respond. And he will not take 5 years to do it. He will respond because he will have to defend his wife. You're a married man now. I'm pretty sure you understand. You have to defend your wife. Will Smith slapped the shit out of somebody for his wife. So you got to do what you got to do. The other bars, besides the Whitney bar, I don't like him talking about splits because we know what your splits have looked like. If there's not that like that now, they used to be. And gosh, there was another bar, the bar about John Morant. So, and this is not because it's wrong that he brought it up. I just feel like it's a slippery slope. So I don't know why he would open the door, right? Because now people are starting to assign to him that like he talks to younger girls and it's inappropriate. And so he called out John Morant over being spotted with Lotto's sister Brooklyn because Brooklyn and Ja used to date. And so I just feel like opening up that can of worms now, Millie Bobby can be talked about and all the young escorts that you be fucking, which they're legal, but they're young. And I think it's going to come back to bite him in like a crazy way. I'm just hoping that he's strategic enough, if I know OVO, that he's strategic enough to already have a response for when people come for him about those things. That's the only way that he would have opened those doors.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
I mean, but who are you rooting for? You haven't even said.
I'm not rooting for anybody, man.
Oh, Vaughn, please, please. Don't give me that like maturity response.
I'm not rooting for anybody. I just want to hear good raps. That's all I want. I just want to hear good raps.
You're not like a Kendrick fan, you're not a Drake fan.
Oh, I mean, those I would say in 2024 I lean more Kendrick than Drake overall.
Okay. Okay. But you're just here for the sparring, essentially.
The sparring, like I just like even I thought the Rick Ross one was cool. Like I thought, and I liked it because it was very much like a just really decent regular Rick Ross song. It wasn't I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be extra inflammatory. Like I'm just in here talking my talk and I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna do what I do always, which I'm gonna make jokes about you at the end. And
Yeah.
I thought that the Rick Ross one was cool, but I don't know. I don't know.
I think that's why I didn't like it as much because it was just a regular Ross record. Not because I don't like Ross, but I was just like, oh, I thought you were going to be like a little more.
Yeah.
But again, he is on the fringe. We really just want to see the type of fight.
Now I will say this too. I definitely appreciated the Drake release when the full regular version came out. The first one I thought was slow and sleepy because
You didn't
whatever
like the Get Money flip?
that was the first one.
Yeah, it had the Get Money, drop and give me fit. It had the mix in the back.
It
You
seemed
ain't
like
like it.
it was just slow. Like he's
I
just
get it. I get it. A lot of people didn't like it.
the actual version was actually way better.
Yeah. The polished version where he took out a couple of those shots he was taking. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no matter how much of a beef that we in right now with anybody, I'm not bringing Mr. Combs into nothing. I'm not saying nothing about him.
We'll
Nothing.
leave that right out. Just throw your hands up. And this is taboo, so you feel free to cut this out. I'm not giving up the Love album. I'm not giving it up. I'm never giving it up. When you're talking about R&B, essential R&B of today, that album, that's all I'm gonna say.
Nick,
That album, we're gonna be 20 years from now looking back and saying how incredibly perfect that album is.
Nick, you still listening to R. Kelly too?
No. Who no? Hell no. I've talked about this too. He is one because I don't play about kids and underage. And there's things that Diddy is alleged that I don't play about either. Violence, all those things.
Yep.
But tell me you don't still listen to that album.
I mean, I listened to it all the way through a couple times when it first came out, but I'm really weird. I'm really in a really weird music space right now. Like
What you mean?
something comes out that I'm really like excited about. I'm gonna listen to it and I'm gonna rock with it.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because I didn't really like listen to it. Like I didn't really pay attention to me and Kia sat with that. And I think that we like maybe we just put it on while we sat and like kind of just chilled. So we weren't really like listening for like listening. It was just kind of on. And I remember there being some stuff that I enjoyed, but now it's too late to go back. I can't go back.
I say now that's exactly what I was about to say. Now it's too late. If you loved it before, cool. But this is like, yeah, you gotta let it go. But we'll see what happens. Actually, I'm just glad that you're talking more about R&B because I think it needs it, especially right now.
We're gonna have this problem so we got married in February and we're gonna have a reception in September, right? And we're gonna have this problem. Okay. We've been like looking through songs, we're trying to kind of create this because obviously I'm gonna be super anal about it. Like I can't just hire a DJ and trust him.
We know.
No matter how much I know, and because I know some great DJs. Shout out to
I was about to say Corey's right there.
But no matter who it is, I'm gonna give them some guided
you're gonna give them a playlist. That's what you're gonna give them.
But what I'm saying is there's obviously got to be a 90s hip hop and R&B set. And it's like, do I gotta get rid of all of the bad boys? Do I gotta get rid of More Money, More Problems and Mace Feels So Good and 112,
Listen,
in total?
You can't think about it. Think about what you would have to give up. You just named like a fraction of what you have to give up. And I don't know if and I think that is a great question. It's kind of ongoing. It's for me too. So it's not for everybody else. But where does the buck stop? Then we shouldn't be listening to anybody. We shouldn't be listening to Chris. We shouldn't be listening to Kendrick. We shouldn't be listening to Drake. We shouldn't be listening to nobody if everybody's mistakes are getting them canceled. You know what I'm saying? Now, someone I stand firmly on, R. Kelly. I do not listen to R. Kelly at all, period, because I don't play about kids. But like, if we're talking about misogyny and all these other things, we need to be cutting everybody out.
Right.
And I don't know if you want to do that for your wedding.
Like,
don't you want to turn up?
Very hard. It's very hard to have that perspective. And it's like you have to, and I think that's something that we like as a society have to just be more comfortable with.
Yeah.
Just respecting everyone's choices. Like,
absolutely.
You have the right to listen to who you want to listen to.
Yeah.
I have the right to judge you for it. And then how our relationship after that is up to us. And that just is what it is. Like, I specifically, this made me think of something that two girlfriends before Kia, we did not see eye to eye when the Carter's album dropped. Because
okay.
I like it. She was like, I like it, but I just remember there being some tension about like, I mean, I know he cheated on that, and I don't think it's. I'm actually like really upset and disappointed in Jay-Z as well.
Yeah,
but Ape Shit goes hard,
and the Carter's album is good. I don't know. I don't know what you listen to.
And ultimately, what it came down to for me is like, if they're good enough to put this album out and do whatever they're doing, touring, having more babies, like, who am I to judge them? They should be good. So
they figured it out.
They figured it out.
Yeah.
Cool. But like, I just remember her just every now and then just being like, he's anyway. That's super.
Was that? Now I have questions. So like,
we can't. No.
Obviously, y'all didn't stay together. Was that one of the reasons?
No. There's
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
Oh man, like.
But yeah, I agree with you. I do think that we need to get to a place where people are allowed to like things. I always see music opinions go out and like people will push back and be like, oh, well, I don't like it. It's like, this is not a debate. I just say that I like this, you know? And I think that we got to give people more space to do that.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
All right, Nick. Well, tell people what you got going on. Tell people how
Moss. Well, before I talk about me, I gotta thank you.
No, man.
Even inviting. No, I'm serious. For inviting me up here and for just having these conversations. I think what you're building is incredible. I think you're building a community that people needed because people need a place to nerd out about music and not just music, like something specific to someone who is like such a staple and a titan and a pillar in music. So I love what you're doing. So thank you for even wanting me to come up here and talk about music. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So tell people what you got going on. How can we support you? What you got coming? What you're working on?
So one project I'm working on is a festival that's coming up. I'm under NDA, so I can't say which one, but I'm doing some marketing copywriting around that. Hopefully it'll be 2 festivals soon, fingers crossed, but that's going really well. I'm excited about that. I'm also maybe getting another contract. Also can't talk about that, but that would be for more marketing, copywriting stuff in the AI space, which will be very fun. So another fingers crossed situation. But my personal creative projects, I'm coming out with it's kind of my style of a radio show. It won't be live. It'll be more like a playlist curated experience where I'll be talking, but I'll also be talking about music. Because I do that all the time on like my Instagram, but I'm just kind of pulling it out and putting it somewhere else, essentially. So that's really exciting. And that's coming out super soon. I don't know when this episode is dropping, but yeah, it'll be out before the end of the month. So it's called Nik FM. So people will be able to hear me on that. I'm revamping the newsletter so that it goes with Nik FM. And then just building my own little writing agency and, you know, making my money, make sure my money comes to me like Pharrell taught us. So yeah, that's it. And everybody can find me on Niki, Niki McGloster on every platform.
Nick, this was great.
Thank you. I'm glad it was like a really, really good conversation. And I could have talked about R&B for the next 2 hours. So thank you for stopping me.
Man. I'm just thinking about, first of all, that's why this podcast exists, is because the Pharrell, Chad, Neptunes universe touches so much in music and culture that can always lead into another conversation about so many different things. And so that's what happened to us here. We ended up talking about hip hop affinity war and Drake but
I know. And we low key talked about like some of Pharrell's most hated people today. So I'm sorry. So I'm sorry for that. I brought up Khalees and Drake. So my apologies.
I don't want to talk. I just the Khalees thing is unfortunate. The Drake thing is just like it is what it is.
I
But
know. You're gonna roll with VA anyway. So I should know. I should know what side you're on.
I mean, I live in VA.
Yeah, me too.
I ride in VA. Most likely, I'm gonna die.
You ride and die, VA. But no, I love these conversations, and I hope I get invited back. And whenever I get my stuff popping, I will incorporate you too.
So I don't know what it looks like. We haven't really figured it out, but part of something that we've started over the last couple of years is a V Moss and Friends episode in the summertime.
Nice.
Where we have the past few years we've done brackets. So there's gonna be a R&B themed bracket episode in the summer. So the hope is to do it live somewhere, but if not, the hope is to do it in a venue where we could have people be in an audience and do it. If not,
Okay.
me and some of our friends in someone's crib. But ultimately, depending on such situation, you might be invited to be a participant if you can do it live, or you could at least just vote or suggest, like, help us figure out, how we make the bracket. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay.
I want your
Yeah. Let me know either way, whatever I can do to help and support, and you just let me know. And I'm literally up the street from you. I'm in Newport News. So whatever you need, I'm around.
All right, Nick.
All right. Tell the wife I said hi and we will talk soon.
Shout out to Rockstar Wood one more time, bro. This
Shout out to
episode
Lenny.
this episode is brought to you by Linwood Rockstar Wood. What a character, man.
He would love that. He would love that if it was sponsored by him. He would love it.
This man last week in his Instagram stories in Disney was hilarious, bro.
What did he say? Crazy.
You gotta hit him up.
Okay, I am. I'm gonna hit him up right after this.
He was with his family in Disney World, but they're like, yo, he's perfect to be working with kids, bro. Like,
oh yeah, he was out there with Adore, his cousin. Yeah.
All right, Nick.
All right, cool. So we'll catch up after this. Wait, before you jump, we are doing when does this episode come out?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's fine. Keep me posted. All right, boo.
I haven't even I'm tripping. We're about to hop off and I haven't even done the outro. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Neptune Sunday. Catch you next time. Peace and love.